Hello everybody and welcome to another video about screen printing by Catspit Productions. Welcome, and today is the question and answers video where we're going to give away some of that Amex white water-based ink, and I'm going to answer some of your questions that you all left for me in the questions video. This is the answers video, I guess. And I wanted to say thanks a lot to everybody who participated. There were a lot of great questions. Thanks a lot for leaving comments, and I hope you will be encouraged to leave comments again in the future. Stay on my radar, and that's always a good thing. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to read the questions. I will announce the username, and we're going to give away some ink. Okay, for anyone, for those of you who did not receive or will not receive a quart of ink in this little giveaway, I just want to remind you that I will be at ISS January in Long Beach and at the Ranar booth, of course, right? And we're going to have some samples from Amex there as well. So I know not all of you will be able to make it to the show, but for those of you that can make it to the show, make sure you come by the Ranar booth and see me personally and ask me about the Amex white water-based ink, or we may have some other colors there as well. I'm not sure exactly what we'll have, but we'll have some samples to give away at the show. So make sure, if you're able to, come to the show and then you can have a chance to try this ink out as well. All right? So the deal is that YouTube has taken a lot of functionality away. I don't believe there is any way to message me on YouTube. So that poses a little bit of a problem in authenticating you. So I'm going to have to ask you to, once you see that I've chosen you, you're going to have to go to the e-commerce website. Yes, I'm going to make you go to my e-commerce website and use the contact us form and contact me and tell me who you are and what your username is. Then I'm going to ask you to send me a screenshot of you logged in to your YouTube dashboard. Okay? And that's the area where it just shows your little subscribers and you know what I'm saying, and there's no personal information there. The dashboard is just kind of shows you a little bit of stuff, there's really not a whole lot there. And that way I can see you logged into YouTube with your username, and I will know that it's you and not somebody trying to steal your free quart of ink. Because believe it or not, things like that happen. So, let's get started. Oh, and I will reiterate the details of what you need to do in the video description below. So make sure you open that up and take a look if you have questions on how to collect your free quart of white Amex water-based ink. All right? I think that's enough of the technical stuff. So let's get started. Okay, so for the first question, and if I pronounce names wrong, I apologize, but this one, hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to make notes while I do this so I can edit the video properly. All right, so first question that I'll answer is from Jorge Emmanuel Arnaud, okay? And his question was, if you were not a screen printer, what kind of job would be your dream job? I thought about this a little bit, and the first thought was I'd like to rent surfboards on the beach in Hawaii. Okay, so that was my first thought. I'd like to do something in a tropical area where I can work in my shorts, and enjoy the beautiful weather and things like that. But, if you're talking about maybe my dream job ever, well, there was once upon a time when I was very much into aeronautics, and I almost went into the Air Force and, looking to be a pilot. And I do actually have the, or at one point in my life, I probably had the mental skills and ability to do that. Maybe not now, but I was very interested in aircraft and even space flight. So if circumstances were ideal in my life and things worked out in a certain way, I might have gone that route, but it just didn't work out that way, and I ended up taking this route, which is much different. I know, right? It's like two completely different things. But today, if you ask me what my dream job would be, it would be literally, yes, renting surfboards on a beach in Hawaii. Okay, So the next question we'll ask is from James Stone. What is the worst experience you've ever had with a customer, someone purchasing a t-shirt run, a print run, or a print job? And the username is James Stone, but he signs it Matt, all right, from Pennsylvania. So, I think the most embarrassing situation I ever had that, you know, to me, I still tell this story all the time to people. And it was actually when I was working with my brother at his screen printing shop in New York State many, many years ago. And we were printing sweatshirts and hoodies and things for a fire department. And they were printing down the sleeve firefighter. Okay? Follow me here. So one day my brother and I began printing this job, right? And the way the shop was set up is that customers would come into the storefront and they could actually see into the back where we were working. All right, so one day, while we were printing the firefighter hoodies and sweatshirts and stuff, one of our very large, very big customer from South Street Seaport in New York City came. And this lady was a huge customer. It was a big deal, you know. And so she's there at the counter watching us work, and all of a sudden she asks us, "Hey, what's a firefigter?" Yes, a firefigter. Well, much to our dismay, my brother who did the artwork made a spelling error. He left the H out. So it wasn't firefighter, it was firefigter. Okay, and it was embarrassing. I mean, we had, I don't know how many hoodies we had printed. I don't remember, but to have that kind of error in front of one of your huge customers is really, really embarrassing. And it was hilarious. To this day, I can tease my brother about the firefigter. Okay, and that would, I'll give you a little tip. Never assume that your printer will read the screen, because he's not interested in that. He's interested in the print. So when you're in a shop where there's artwork and things being done up front, and then the screens and everything go back to the printer, you can never blame the printer for spelling errors. That's the art department. Okay, the printer prints what he's given, and if there's a spelling error on there, they might not see it. Okay, and that is not uncommon. So never blame that on your printer saying you should have caught that, because that's not the case. Your printer should be more concerned with the quality of print work that he's doing, and the art department has to be dead on with the spelling and the artwork. That's where the mistakes happen. All right, so that's just a tip for you. All right, so let's see, number 3. Hotbox Print Studio, Chico, California. What was the first guitar riff you learned? The first song or tune or cover thing or whatever you want to call it that I learned was Iron Man from Black Sabbath. I'm sure all of you who play guitar know how easy that is to play. And actually last night when I was reviewing questions and stuff, I picked up my guitar and I was having troubles remembering the sequence. And then I started playing, what is it? Judas Priest, Living After Midnight. What is that song? Living After Midnight. I don't know what it was, but that one's another one that's very simple, like Iron Man, that you can learn really easy, you know. But yeah, it was Iron Man from Black Sabbath. Okay, here's another one. It's pretty interesting. This is, and I'm blind. Sorry, I hope I'm not like covering my face, but I can't see. M by Cakeine. All right. I'm not sure what that is. It looks like N by Caken. All right, and the question is, you know, do you see yourself expanding the Catspit brand, growing the business, innovating new products, or are you comfortable with what you have created? And a secondary note is, do you have any plans on creating a video collection, instructional DVD type thing or something out of all the videos from YouTube? All right, so I am very happy with what I've created, and I am comfortable with what I've created in that I'm a very simple guy, and stress is not something I like in my life. Okay, so I like to live simply, and I like to do what I do in a simple way. So I do want to grow the business, and I am working on some new products. I am trying to develop an automatic press with AWT. I have opportunities to sell a lot of different automatic presses, and I may look at that, but I really was interested in developing something with AWT because their machines are built in such a way that the user can service them, and it would eliminate the expensive technicians. Okay, so I'm trying to work with AWT. It's been difficult. We had a press we were going to develop, and then they sold it. I don't know what happened. So I have to get these guys committed because they're capable of doing this, but for some reason they haven't really embraced it here in the States. So yes, and we are also working on new products from Ranar as well. And next year, at the January ISS show, I will be debuting a brand new flash cure. It's a surprise. This flash cure will be the only one like it on the market for a little while, because I'm sure other people will copy us. But this flash cure will be versatile and an excellent item. There's also some other products. I don't want to give too much away because then my competitors will steal my ideas. Okay, so yes, I am working with Ranar to come out with some new, unique pieces of equipment that will fill certain gaps today that I have seen through selling equipment over my 10 years of doing this, you know. So yes, I'm going to grow, but if you're asking me if I want to become the Walmart of screen printing, no, I do not. I like something small, intimate, cozy, where I have direct contact with my customers. I'm very old school, I'm old fashioned, okay? I like to be able to take care of my customers and know that everything is happening exactly the way I would want it to happen. And you might say that's a control thing or something like that, and it's not. It's actually a customer service thing. It's an integrity thing. It's an honesty thing. It's just realizing that that's what I do, and So yes, I am going to grow the brand as much as I can. I'm going to offer new products that aren't out there on the market, and products that will fill gaps that we currently have in the marketplace for screen printing. All right. Secondly, the videos and people have asked me all the time, produce a DVD. Produce a DVD. Please produce a DVD. And here's the thing. It's very expensive to do that. I certainly do not have the time to go through all of my videos and try to edit them and cut them into an organized manner so that it kind of all makes sense and is like sequential or chronological or what is the word I'm looking for? Progressive in the teaching process. You know what I'm saying? I just don't have the time to do that, and I don't know, that paying somebody to do it will be worth it, because my videos are on YouTube for free right now, okay? And some other big giant company produces tons of DVDs, and when they're old, he puts them on YouTube for free. Did I give that away by saying that? But you know what I'm saying? It's like, so the market is flooded with DVDs, and I don't know, how much are people going to pay me for my DVD when there are a bunch of free ones on YouTube, and you can watch all my videos free on YouTube. So it would have to make sense. If I could figure out a way to put it together where it wouldn't cost me a whole lot of money, then I certainly would do it. But I can tell you that I am writing a book. I am going to write a book. Actually, I'm in the process of it, but it takes a lot of time. I'm putting a lot of my articles together, and we're going to compose a book, and in each section of the book, there will be QR codes or QR scanning codes to go to videos. So that's what I'm trying to do. Somebody will probably steal my idea for that too now, but you heard it here first, so when you see it from somebody else, you know they got that idea from me. All right, so yeah, we're gonna grow. We're gonna try to offer more stuff, and I'm gonna try to get this book done within the next year here, or maybe sooner. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. Okay, question number 5 for us here today. This is from Tidbits Gallery. If I could have lunch with 3 people, anybody, anytime, any place, who would it be? I think this is a difficult question, and I think my my first person would be John F. Kennedy. And the reason why is because I read somewhere that at the time he was assassinated, President Kennedy was signing legislation to dissolve the Federal Reserve. Because in my understanding, and I know this might open a can of worms with people, but in my understanding, the Federal Reserve is as about federal as Federal Express, meaning the Federal Reserve is not the government. It is a conglomerate of private bankers. So when the president needs to borrow money for our budget or our deficit or whatever the deal is, he borrows money to do things in the government, right? He goes to the Federal Reserve, and these guys who are private bank owners print the money out of thin air and loan it to the government and charge interest. So I heard, this is what I heard, and I'm not an expert on politics, I don't really know, I'm just saying I read this, and it was an interesting concept that at the time of his assassination, he was signing legislation to dissolve the Federal Reserve and give the power back to the government to print their own money without interest. Okay? So, that would be my question to him, is that really true? You know what I'm saying? And he was just he was a very interesting president, very, very interesting, very dynamic. And of course, there were a lot of other things that I could ask him too about his personal life and stuff like that. So probably President Kennedy, John F. Kennedy would be number one. Number two would be Neil Armstrong. And, Neil Armstrong, not just because he was the first man on the moon, but I guess I could talk to any of the astronauts that have been on the moon, really, to tell you the truth. Any of them. I think there was about 12. And I just want to talk to them and ask them about their experience there, what it felt like. Were you scared? What kind of anxieties? And, I think it's just an amazing thing to have done. And I wonder if when they returned to Earth and all that fanfare disappeared, was it difficult to resume your life? And after having done something so amazing and unbelievable and risky and this and that, so yeah, I'd probably Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin or one of the guys from the Apollo missions who landed on the moon would be a second choice. And thirdly would be Jack White. Yes, many of you know that I am a big fan of Jack White. Jack is a few years younger than I am, I believe, so we come from the same time frame, so to speak, and I really enjoy what he does. We have very different political views, of course. I don't think Jack and I would share a whole lot politically, but that's not the point. I wouldn't really want to talk to him about that. I just really wanted to talk to him because well, let's move into, we're going to have to move into this question. This is going to be, because basically this is going to answer this question here. This is, let's see, where are we? Number 5, number 6. Okay, so here it is. So Jack White would be the last guy to have lunch with, and the reason why going in, to this whole thing, Flores George or Jorge, I don't know how to pronounce these things, he asked, the question is Jack White someone that influences me in terms of my work ethic, and things like that, And yes, Jack is a huge inspiration to me. His music just kind of, really is dead on. I don't think there's any tune that he's done that I really don't like. Even his new work, he was so awesome in the White Stripes. And then on his solo work, he's amazing. And yes, he's such a hard worker and an amazing lyricist, if that's how you pronounce it. He writes these lyrics that are just they're mind-blowing to me. And the other thing that I respect very greatly is that he's drug-free. He does not do drugs, and I can relate to that. So yeah, I would really want to sit down and talk with Jack White. And yes, Jack White is a major influence for me. He's a major influence in my creating rhythms. Only in the sense that I take very simple chords and arrange them in a complex manner. I'm not saying I'm anywhere near, Jack White. I can't play guitar. I suck. All right, but yeah, Jack is a huge inspiration to me, and I'm planning on a pilgrimage to Third Man Records in California, hopefully one of these days. So, all right, hope that answers those two questions there. That was kind of a bam bam. Okay, so here's a question from Scott King Designs. The question is, how long were you a screen printer before you became a supplier, and what made you switch from printer to supplier? All right, so the first part of that is kind of hard to answer because I started screen printing when I was about 11 years old with my uncle in the basement of my father's house. I was 11 years old. We printed some of his fine artwork onto t-shirts and stuff. And all throughout high school, I worked for my brother. I was screen printing. Then I went to college for a while, and when I came back to New York, I worked as a studio photographer in Manhattan at a catalog studio for 6 or 7 years or something like that. And then after the whole 9/11 thing, I came back out to Arizona because my mother was here, and I eventually started screen printing again, and I became my mother's caregiver. And so I worked from home because I was caregiving for my mom, and I did that until she passed away. And then I took Catspit full on, and I got the storefront, and I just went at it like a madman. So I've been screen printing my entire life, but I did go off for 6 or 7 years, and I did photography work in Manhattan, which was an amazing experience. I was on set with famous people and stuff like that, and not that I got to rub shoulders with them much, because when you're doing photography, a lot of those situations I was first assistant. It took a little while before they let me actually shoot and stuff like that, but it was an amazing experience. So when I came back, out to Arizona, I started screen printing again, and I was printing on the side, and then I started working for a friend of mine running as an office manager for his print supply company. And then, as you may have seen in some of the videos, I have some videos about this, in the crash of 2008, I lost that job, and then I was really trying to screen print. And in doing so, I started to try to get attention by making the YouTube videos. And that leads me to how did I become a supplier? And well, it was because of the YouTube videos. Everybody started asking me where to get stuff. All right, and here's the thing. My father was in the industry forever, and I think, let's see here. We have a question that we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but because of the connections I had in the industry and the YouTube channel, and people asking me where to get stuff, it was a natural transition to move from printer to supplier. And also, I was getting older, and quite frankly, I have back issues and shoulder issues and neck issues and wrists and this and that and the other thing. So it's really hard for me to stand at the press for extended hours anymore, especially a manual press. I could probably do more hours at an automatic press, but so it was a natural transition from printer to supplier because of the YouTube channel and the connections I already had in the industry. So that's what happened there. All right, so it's not too hot here today, but it's a little humid. All right, so it's a lot of work. All right, where are we? Question number 8. This is from Michael Saylor. If something happens to me, what will happen to your business? That's a little grim. I haven't seen anybody else besides you. So what are my plans for the longevity and to keep Catspit Productions alive? And, I'll be honest with you. The simple truth is I am Catspit Productions. I have a couple of brothers who help me out, but basically Catspit Productions is a small business. I'm an S Corp, and the business, if something happens to me prematurely, the business will be left to my brother Thomas, and it will be up to him what to do with it, because the truth of the matter is if once I'm gone, the essence of Catspit is gone, meaning there will be no more videos, and the type of assistance and help and the type of things that I do for my customers, I feel is unique to me, and my dedication, my devotion, my loyalty, my sense of obligation and responsibility, I don't know that anybody can match that. So, you know, it will be up to my brother and probably my niece, Bailey, as to what to do with Catspit Productions. But I can guarantee you that the YouTube videos will stay up forever. They will maintain that and make sure that stays up. They may choose to keep running the e-commerce store, or they may choose to close this business down. Okay, but Catspit Productions is a small business. I am not a giant corporation. There's not 15 different people here answering the phones for me all day. When you call Catspit Productions, I answer the phone. Okay? That could change in the future. If I get too bogged down, I may actually have my brother Tom take calls, because he is also a screen printer, and he's probably the only one that I could trust to do the job as close as possible to myself. So that's the thing. There are certain things that will keep going if I were to pass away, but it's gonna be up to my brother and my niece as to what they really want to do, and if they feel that it's the right thing to do. Okay, question number 9, and I'm starting to get a little sweaty here because I think just doing all these different camera shots. Why the name Catspit Productions? It's a very good question. The story of how Catspit Productions came about, the name and all that, is actually on the mother website at catspitproductionsllc.com on the About Us page, in somewhere in there. Okay, and the basic deal is this. I had a cat, a black cat, for 18 years. This cat was like my shadow. She was my best little friend. And you have to forgive me, because sometimes when I talk about this I get a little choked up, because I miss that little cat. She used to sit on my shoulder. Even when she was 6.5 pounds, she'd sit on my shoulder while I'm walking around the house. I could take her outside. She was an indoor cat. I could take her outside on my shoulder and she would just stay there. She was very, very interactive and responsive, and she was a lap cat, a major lap cat. Anytime I sat down, instantly Swan Song would be in my lap. Sometimes so quickly that I didn't even see her sit there. And so Swan Song was her name, and that was after, you know, from the recording label from Led Zeppelin. They had a recording label called Swan Song, and that's where her name came from. And when I pet Swan Song, I would pet her. She's in my lap. I pet her. She would salivate, you know, like just spit, tons of spit coming out, drooling, and then she would flap her head like a dog, you know. And this one night, the spit went all over my glasses, you know, and I was like, what's with this cat spit? So that was around the time that I formed the business on paper and started to create the business, you know. So I named it Catspit Productions because at the time I was going to do screen printing and continue photography, quite frankly. But I decided to pursue screen printing and stay focused. And so the business name came from my 20-year-old pet, and today she is our feline matriarch. And, you know, that's basically it. That's where the name came from. It came from her. And that's also, you know, some of the logos, like the Skull and Bones logo. You know, a lot of people ask me about the skulls and the skulls and bones. I may as well bring that up now. The skulls to me do not mean death. The skulls are not a negative, dark thing to me, although I do like Gothic imagery. I like black and white type, like Frankenstein, and you know that the whole Universal Studios black and white horror movies with the monsters and stuff like that, and that gothic feeling, stone buildings, and you know the cloud, the mist, and the wrought iron fencing and the gargoyles and stuff like that. I like that stuff. I don't know. It's not dark to me. I just like it. It's cool, you know. So that's where I first, you know, thought about, you know, the skull and bones with the two swirls, right? Well, actually, the skull and bones do represent Swan Song's death. That part is true. The skull and bones in the logo, I forget what I call it, the leopard. Well, we have a leopard logo, and the other. I have like 5 different logos, but anyway, the skull and bones represents Swan Song's death, and the 2 green swirls, right, around the skull and bones, those are representative. Is that the right word? I don't know. They represent the 2 electron orbits in helium. You know, helium is number 2 on the periodic table. 2 electrons, 2 protons, 2 neutrons. And helium is considered a primordial element. So that's where that comes from. So the helium symbol, the 2 electrons from helium, that represents her birth, because I'm an amateur physicist, and you know, so for me, life began in stars, although I do go to church once in a while. So don't ask me about that. But so the skull and bones with the 2 swirls, that was representative, or represents, sorry, Swan Song's life and death, and that's how some of that logo, you know, the Tomcat logo, which is somewhere in the back over here, you see it in the videos all the time, with the fish bones and the cat that looks like Tom from Tom and Jerry. Well, we recreated Swan Song like Tom, so that's supposed to be her in the Tomcat logo as well. So yeah, so that's how the name came about. I hope I didn't take too long. I'm sorry. You know, like I said, I get a little emotional on this subject because, you know, if you want to make me cry, just start making me talk about my cat. If you want to push some buttons, make me think about Swan Song too much, and I might get upset. Okay, so that'll be enough for now. Okay, so there it is there, actually, the Tomcat logo. Oh, and by the way, you know, don't forget that Ranar and Catspit are like one. So Ranar will also pick up where I left off if I were to croak tomorrow or something. Ranar will always take care of my customers like they were, you know, like I was there. Okay, so if I were to croak tomorrow and all of my equipment customers need immediate help, you just call David at Ranar and he'll take care of you, I promise you. Okay, so I forgot to mention that's an important thing, because Ranar and Catspit are kind of like family. Those guys are you know, my brothers, and I know that if I were to croak tomorrow, David, Peter, and Hector, they'd all step up and take care of you guys, and everything would occur. All the orders that were placed would still be filled, and everybody would get their stuff, and they would step up to the plate to make sure that you know, the equipment customers are taken care of. All right, so don't forget that either. All right, just in case I trip over here and snap my neck tonight as I'm going home. Right. All right, so question number 9 is from Coach Clay. Let's see. Oh wait. I don't know what question number this is. I don't know. I'm all messed up here. Did I answer 10 yet? So we'll figure it out. If I give it an extra quart of ink away or whatever, that's okay. All right, so Coach Clay is asking, how important is it to my shop's success that I'm proficient in the creation of art? Should I be able to draw well, sketch on my pad or computer? Should I know Corel Draw? Should I know Illustrator like the back of my hand? Or should I have a degree in art? And I'm getting a little hot. The lights cook this place a little bit. They're pretty intense. So the question is, yeah, sure, yes, 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 and yes. if you can learn Adobe Illustrator is what I would recommend. It is the most powerful pre-press software known to man currently. So I would use Adobe Illustrator if you could take a class and learn how to do it. But the thing is that the classes, university courses and things like that are going to teach you how to do graphic design and stuff like that, which is much different than screen printing art. Graphic artists or graphic designers do not really necessarily know how to do screen printing art. Okay, so yes, you can learn how to use Illustrator, but then you're going to have to adapt that knowledge to creating screen printing art so that your artwork is not a nightmare on press, right? So yes, the more you know about Adobe Illustrator, how to use it and how to manipulate it, how to manipulate objects and how to create things from scratch, the better off you'll be in the long run. However, that is not to say that you can't run a screen printing business without an extensive knowledge of Adobe Illustrator. Like myself, I'm not an expert at Illustrator, I'm not an expert designer, but in our industry there's something called clip art. Clip art is very, very powerful, and I encourage you beginners, the guys who are just starting their stuff out, to go out and look for volumes of clip art that you can buy. And the clip art will allow you to create designs, well, like this one. Remember? That design right there is all clip art, with the exception of the Catspit letters. That's a font that doesn't exist. It's my own logo type thing. There are no other letters. That's the way it was drawn, and that's it. But the rest of the stuff in this design is all clip art. Okay, and this is a pretty cool design, I think. So there are a lot of things you can do with clip art. Clip art is very, very powerful. So I recommend that you buy clip art because you can use templates. In the clip art, they'll have templates, but they will also have different separate individual objects which you can pull together and composite or compose a piece of artwork like this one. Okay, so it is critical. Artwork can make or break you on press, and it can also give you a bad reputation or a good reputation. If you know, somebody goes to a printer and they're kind of putting out the old artwork from like the 80s and the 70s, you know, that's kind of lame. So we want to see, you know, state-of-the-art type stuff. We want to see creative stuff. They want to see stuff that looks cool and contemporary. So yeah, it's important that you have a grasp on your artwork, and you know, it just takes time. Okay, it's going to take a little time. There is no course or college class that will teach you everything about it, and the best thing to do, like I said, is maybe take a college course to learn the ins and outs of Illustrator, but buy yourself some clip art right away and start experimenting with it and putting designs together using clip art, because it's very powerful, very powerful. Okay, so now I'm hot and sweaty. That was a long video to do, and I moved the camera around a lot, so I'm a little... Time to change this t-shirt. All right, so that actually was 10 questions. Let me double check here. Maybe we have a couple of runners-ups, eh? Runner-ups? Runners-upsers? Runner-ups? Let's see. So, let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A couple of runner-ups here for you. Maybe what I can do is I'll give you guys a Catspit t-shirt if I have your size, hopefully. I believe I have some of those Bella shirts left. So EMB, or EMB, asked, how or why did I get into this industry? That goes back to my father. My father was in this industry since before I was born. Like I said, I printed my first t-shirts and posters when I was 11 years old with my uncle. So the reason I got into this industry, because I was born with it. You could say that I was born with a silver squeegee in my mouth, so to speak, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I was born into the industry. It's been in my family forever. So is photography, though. My grandfather was a lithographer and a photographer, and he actually invented a developing chemical that was the fastest one at the time. He tried to make a deal with Kodak, and Kodak did what Kodak notoriously does, and they stole it. Okay, so Kodak has a history of doing that kind of thing, and it was devastating for my grandfather. He really, I don't know if he ever recovered from that, because it was he was a brilliant photographer and a brilliant lithographer and an amazing guy, So that's where the photography and screen printing are in my blood, I guess. That's just all I can say. I was born with these things, Shroom Brothers. Shroom Brothers asked me, I play guitar. Have you ever been in a band, or am I, and what is its name? No, I'm not in a band currently because I suck. I have forgotten a lot of stuff because for many years I had bad troubles with my wrists, and they're not so bad anymore, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. It was weird. For a while I was having really bad problems with my wrists. Now I'm having problems with my elbows. So I still can't play as much as I wanted to. But the first band that I was in was it was our own. We created it, a few of us in high school, and then it got resurrected in college a little bit as well because of me. And this is going to be funny. The band was called the Aggressive K Words. That's right, the Aggressive K Words. All right, these videos are G-rated. I like to keep them that way, so I can't really explain why or K word. Okay, the K words is referring to four-lettered foul curse words. Okay, so the Aggressive K Words. If you call me and I talk to you on the phone and you don't mind profanities, I could possibly explain it to you a little bit more. All right, sorry. Lastly, Bob and Stacy Westfall. What do you like to do in your free time? Any suggestions for people visiting the Phoenix area? What I like to do in my free time is I really enjoy working on my project car, which actually is broken right now because I don't know what happened. And I may have to wait for a little while. I got so many things going on right now, and some personal things going on that I might even have to wait to fix it. But I love working on my car. I like writing. I write a lot. I write poetry. I write. One of these days I'm going to finish my book for the screen printing, of course. But I also have a science fiction novel that is maybe a quarter, or I don't know. It's well started, and I really want to come back to that and finish that. So personal things like that. I like to do those things. I love science fiction, movies and television and retro television. So yeah, sometimes I'll watch a little of that. But what would I recommend for you to do in the Phoenix area? I think you have to hike the deserts. You have to see the desert. There's Goldfield Ghost Town out in East Mesa. It's very cool. I have a couple of videos about Goldfield Ghost Town from years ago when I was shooting with a potato, and so we did some of the gunfights they had there. That's a great place to visit. Phoenix has a lot of very cool museums and educational type museums. We have the Challenger Center is here. We have all kinds of stuff. I mean, Phoenix is a very modern city. It's a beautiful city. It's state of the art, So there, I mean, we've got it all here, honestly. And if you're willing to drive a little bit, Tombstone is also close enough to go visit Tombstone. Tombstone is a very cool place. So I would say in the Phoenix area, see the desert, get out into the desert, take a quad ride, or rent some quads, take a little ride in the desert. There's horseback riding. I mean, it's a big city, so there's literally anything. We have concerts here all the time. Theater comes here a lot. There's a lot of cool stuff. Me personally, I like to ride my dirt bikes in the desert a lot. That's fun. I'm hoping to do that a little bit more this winter because I may not be working on the project car so much. I may put that on the back burner for a little while I do some other things. So, Phoenix is a cool place. But that's it. I think we spent probably an hour doing this. I don't know. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to get out of here now. I'm sweaty. I really appreciate you guys participating, and please just give me some time to get all this stuff together. This is a lot of stuff to package up, label, and ship out, so it may take a couple of weeks for me to get through it all, so be patient, please. And remember that you're going to have to contact me through the e-commerce site, and maybe I was thinking about it, what we'll do is maybe I'll have you, instead of a screenshot, because I know some people can probably digitally manipulate that in Photoshop, if they really wanted this core of ink that bad. So maybe we'll have you take a snapshot on your cell phone, and we'll confirm it that way or something. It's just, I just don't want somebody to contact me and say they're you, and then I send it off, and then you contact me, and I'm like, oh, I just, you know, because YouTube doesn't like to leave functionality. They took messaging away, I believe. You can't message me through YouTube anymore. But it's a community, right? We're supposed to engage our audience, but you can't message me. Go figure. All right. Thanks a lot for watching today. Thanks everybody for participating. Thanks for watching this very long video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something about me. And if you need screen printing equipment or supplies, of course, check out Catspit, screenprintsupply.com. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next time.